In this video, we will cover what Canvas is, the app that you can get for students using Canvas, the dashboard on Canvas, course content, home, assessment, marks, and announcements. We'll also take you through some helpful tips and suggestions on how you should prepare for your course. We'll also cover off on downloading and uploading assessments, uploading videos, and checking your assessment feedback. To understand what Foresight's Training's online learning portal Canvas is, you'll need to follow the links that have been sent to you by the Foresight's Training admin team. Within the emails and course information that you've been sent, there would have been a link to the Foresight's Training Instructor Canvas website link. In there, you'll put your email address and the password. And don't forget, if you ever forget your password, you can just reset it by clicking on Forgot Password. Once you click on Login, it will take you into the course that you're set up for. It will automatically appear on the dashboard. And if that doesn't occur, then make sure you give the Foresight's Training admin team a call. Sometimes there might be a few glitches with the setup, so it doesn't hurt to give them a call and they'll be able to correct that over the phone with you. Your courses may look different to the ones that I have here on my screen, simply because you will only ever see the courses that you're enrolled in. However, there are a whole bunch of different courses that we have on offer through our Canvas online learning platform. Let's go through the dashboard in the next part. Once you've accessed your courses in Foresight's Training Canvas portal, you'll find on your dashboard a whole bunch of the courses that you're enrolled in. In this case, I've actually clicked on one of those, and it's part 1 of our Certificate 4 in Training and Assessment. It's important for me to make mention here that the visions or the visuals that you actually have on this particular course may be a bit different to the ones that you have if you're enrolled in leadership, WHS, or project management, or any of the other courses that we offer here at Foresight's Training. For the purposes of this video, I will actually demonstrate using our new Certificate 4 in Training and Assessment as the visual here, just to take you through the functionality, because regardless of the course you're enrolled in, the functionality is actually the same from course to course, although it may look a little bit different. So let's go through each of the settings on the left-hand side as part of the Foresight's Training blue ribbon. So down the side there, the first thing we see is the account. If you click on the account, it'll actually come up with your name. In this case, I'm Margarita. So it's coming up and it's telling me all of the information about my particular login. I can go in and change things like the notifications, profile settings, QR codes if I need that for a mobile login, and other information with regards to announcements, etc. The key thing I think that's important for you at this point in time is to click on notifications and just check in the notifications how you want to actually receive your notifications. You might see there's little messages at the top there. So I've clicked on them and I've got rid of those. So things like course activities, due dates for assessments, marking policies, files and announcements. One of the things that I would suggest that you actually change your settings on, if you need to, is announcements. Announcements is the area whereby your trainer assessor will send announcements out to the group. They may send links to useful bits of information. They may send out an announcement saying that there's an assessment that's actually due before you attend your next session. So it's a good idea to put notify immediately on that one. So that's what that little green bell means. You can see Margarita has actually turned off her notifications for files and course content because she just doesn't want to be notified every single time something comes out about that. Marking policies, she's getting a weekly summary on, although I'd probably change that one by just clicking on notifications off on that one. And due dates, you don't tend to have due dates for your assessments, but you will get little reminders, as I said, through the announcements part. Invitations, so that's invitations to new courses. Marking, you can see that she's also made note there to notify immediately when marking has been done on any of her assessments. So there's a few things there that you can change the settings on. By all means, you can see if you hover over it, it gives you the various options. Your profile, you can go through and add a photo in there if you like and change your biography and any kind of links if you choose to. They're really the two aspects in your account settings that you really need to be aware of. If you then click on the dashboard, as I mentioned before, it will actually give you notifications of any new courses that you've been added to. So I can see here Margarita's been asked to add a bunch of new courses there. So we're just going to click on, and you won't have access to those courses until such time as you actually click on accept. But once you've accepted it once, that's the only time that you need to do that, and that course will then appear directly on your dashboard. So as I'm clicking on accept, all of these courses are now appearing on Margarita's dashboard. Now, like I said, in this case, Margarita's one of our test cases. So she's been enrolled in all courses, so there's quite a lot on her dashboard, as you can see there. But just remember, you won't have as much on your dashboard and the imagery may look quite different. If you click on courses, it will also give you a rundown of all the courses that you're involved in, again, or enrolled in. Margarita is our test student, so there's a long list there. You won't have as many as that. Your calendar will actually show you any kind of due dates on assessments, although we don't tend to set those. And it also may give you information with regards to upcoming sessions and whatnot. Your inbox is whereby you can communicate with other people within your course and potentially with your trainer, although we do make mention here that when you send your trainer inbox messages, because they are training every day, they will only review those inbox messages on days that are allocated for marking. So you may not get an immediate response, and it's important for me to make mention of that. Your history will show any kind of areas that you've been into, so where you might have gone in and submitted an assessment, etc., etc. Margarita hasn't done too much here by the look of things. And Studio is whereby you will actually have access to any videos that you might upload as part of your assessment. It's a good idea to save them in Studio. They save here nice and easily, and it's really easy to add to your collection. It's also really easy to submit them from the Studio portal into your assessment. So just an important thing there, if you have saved them into the Studio, that does not mean that you have submitted an assessment. You then need to link that to your assessment, and I'll show that to you in an upcoming video. You can record directly into Studio, although we do find, depending upon your internet access, that it can be a bit glitchy. So it's not encouraged. It's probably better for you to video record it on your phone or on any kind of device that you might have, and then from there upload it. So just by clicking on the add button. So that gives you your functionality with regards to that very first toolbar down the side, that blue toolbar. Let's go into one of these courses, and as I said before, I was going to pick a Certificate 4. You'll notice that there is also another menu that pops up down the side here. This is the menu that you're going to be using on a day-to-day basis throughout the course. So it's the important one. If by chance you can't see it, if you just click on those three little bars at the top there, it will reappear. So it's kind of like a show hide function that's there, but you certainly want it showing the whole time that you're using it because you will be using it quite a bit. So let's go through the functionality here. On the home screen for each of your courses, if you scroll down, you'll find a lot of information, introductory information about your course, what's involved in it. You'll then click on your course instructions, and that gives you a little bit of information about, what kind of information is involved in this course, how it's been set up, what some of the useful learning resources are that you might find within your course as well. So if we click on the back button, I can go back to the home screen, or I can just click on home. If I click on course overview, it gives me a little bit of an overview of this course based on the unit of competency and the descriptors for each of those units. You'll also find access to downloading the Foresights Training Student Handbook, which is a requirement for you to review prior to your induction. And it has all of our useful policies and procedures that may be an important point of reference for you throughout the course. Again, I'll click on home. The next one is our assessment information. So assessment information really gives you a little bit of a summary about what's required for the assessments. Again, another link to the student assessment area. And there is also some links to student support, which may be useful for you throughout your course, and also the Canvas instructions page, which is kind of a bit like an FAQ if you're familiar with that. Again, we go home. Student support links are in there for you, so nice and easy to find. If you do need to contact student support, we have a range of different options here at Foresights Training. All you've got to do is give our team a call or use the links and go straight to our website, and you'll be able to book an appointment, a one-on-one with student support by using that link that's in the pop-up that will appear based on the link here. And if we go home again, I find the most useful tab out of all of these is your Canvas instructions. It is, like I said before, a bit of an FAQ if you're familiar with frequently asked questions, because we address each of the things that people really need to have a bit of an understanding of before they move into the course. So things like how to split screen. If you haven't got two screens that you're using, you may find it useful to follow those instructions. And all you need to do is to just click on that little drop down there, and there's a good visual there with some explanations on how to actually split screen. Watch a YouTube instruction video on how to split screen, so there's even also a video for you to do that with as well if you're not sure. Once you've learned how to do it, you'll find it really useful. Resetting your password, how do I upload a submission against an assessment task? And again, if we do a drop down there, there's some good instructions and some visuals there for you. Later on in this video, I'm actually going to take you through that as well. How do I upload a video submission? Again, there's some great visuals there that show you the quick 5 steps for uploading a video for assessment. In some of our courses, your assessor does need to see you perform tasks, so you are required to provide a video if you're not able to be observed directly by your assessor during the training. Why are annotations not appearing on your document? I'm going to go through that a little bit later in this video as well. So, and how to navigate Canvas, I'm taking you through that now. Uploading multiple videos, what file size, what kinds of media can be uploaded. And really importantly, there is also a Canvas app. So if you go into your app store on your various devices, you can download an app. It's called Canvas Student. And all you need to do is to click on that. Once you've created your login here in Canvas, you actually will be able to activate it then in the app. What that means is you'll get real-time notifications. So when those announcements pop up or when an assessment has been marked, you'll be able to look straight at your phone or any other kind of mobile device, and you'll be able to see real-time that feedback that you're getting back from your assessor. and I didn't find the answer I was looking for. How do I go and get more help? And obviously contacting our amazing team at Foresights Training, and you'll be able to get some assistance there. So just remember that FAQ area or Canvas instructions area is actually there to assist you as well. So going back to the home screen. So that's given you a little bit of familiarity with regards to the home screen with those two content areas or taskbars that are down on the left-hand side. Hope that's been helpful. What we'll look at next is how to start preparing for some of those assessments and preparing for your course overall. Ensuring that you're ready for each of the sessions that you're going to undertake as part of your course is a critical part of basically getting set up. So let's look at some of the little hints and tips that we can help you with in preparing for each of your sessions. The first thing to remember is that Canvas actually has all the information that you need. It has copies of your learning resources, it has copies of your assessments. You could do some pre-reading or some pre-course research if you wanted to, and your trainer may be able to help you with that. It's not a necessity unless your trainer tells you that there's work that needs to be done before you come to your next session. But to do that, you also need to have some kind of setup on your computer. So the first thing I'm going to do is to show you how to set up some folders on your computer which enable you to save the information in a nice, easy to access format. One of the things that we find is that people download their assessments from Canvas and then they can't find them. They've worked on them, they've added information to them, but they're not really sure where they've saved them to on their computer. So let's take you through how to do that. First of all, determine how many parts, sections, clusters, or areas there are within your course. The Certificate for in Training and Assessing, I know there are 6 parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 6 folders on my desktop. You don't have to create them on your desktop. You could create them somewhere else. So the way to do that is to right-click, go down to where it says New, and go Folder. And you can see it's created a folder straight away on my desktop. And I'm going to, while that's blue and it's highlighted, I'm going to change the name of that folder to Part 1. I'm going to continue to do that and create another 5 folders so that I have 6 in total. In this case, you can see it's not blue, but if I click on it, it'll come blue again. So I can go Part 2. Again, I'm going New, Folder, and I'm going to go Part 3. You need to spell it correctly, etc., etc. Now, having those folders set up on my desktop, even though they're empty at the moment, the next thing that I'm going to do is to look at how I'm going to download my assessments and put them into those folders. A good way to prepare for each of the parts or sections within your course is to actually download all of your assessments before you come to training. Having them in a folder here streamlines the time frame for the trainers, and it enables you to be able to easily access, okay, well, I'm working on Part 2 today and we're doing Project 3 Task 2, so I'll look for that particular assessment saved in the Part 2 folder. So it's good practice to do that. Not everybody does, but it is good practice too. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the Assignments tab on the left-hand side. So if we click on the Assignments tab, what will open up for our Certificate for in Training and Assessing, you'll see there are a whole bunch of different resources that are there. Some of them are assessments, some of them are learning resources by the look of things. It looks a bit jumbled and disorganised, so the first thing that I would suggest that you do is go to the top right-hand corner, and there are 2 tabs there, and it says Show by Date or show by type. Click on show by type, and you can see now it's actually organised everything. We've got a generic resource, we've got some learning resources, and then we've got a whole bunch of assessment tasks. So by clicking on show by type, it organises everything in a more logical manner. So the first thing that we want to do is have a talk about the student induction and pre-brief checklist. You are only required to do this once during your course. So if you're starting your course, do it in the first part of your course. In the Certificate for in Training and Assessing, there are 6 parts. And I talked about that before by creating those 6 folders, but there are 6 parts, and the student induction and pre-brief checklist will be in all 6 parts. The reason being is some people will come along and they may only do that part, so they will need to complete the student induction and pre-brief checklist for that part. If, on the other hand, you're doing it for the whole qualification, do it in the first part of your course, and then you don't have to think about it again. It will still come up on your screen as it has done here for Margarita, but just remember you don't need to if you've already done it in part 1. So that then takes us down to our learning resources. As it says here, these resources do not count towards assessment outcomes. This means you do not have to view them, download them, watch them, read them. You don't have to. They are there as a learning resource only. So if you feel that you need to do a little bit more reading, or you want to get a bit of a deeper understanding, or maybe you missed part of your course, or you just feel that you would like to do some reading to enhance some of the things that your trainer went through, you may find the e-learning useful. And you can open up that e-learning and it steps you through some visuals and interactive components that help you to have a bit of a read, have a bit of a look, and in some cases there are some videos in there to help as well. If you're the kind of person who likes to download a tangible booklet and likes to go through and highlight it, or even highlight it on a screen, you might find the learner guide is more appropriate for you. So, and by just clicking on the learner guide, you can see it will open in a minute. And you can just download that and save that to whatever device you like. You can actually do the same with the PowerPoint as well. The important thing for me to make mention here with regards to the PowerPoint is it is a little bit different than what each of our trainers use. The PowerPoint that's provided here is the base model PowerPoint. It steps you through the material that we've been covered during your course. It's also the same material that's in the learner guide and the e-learning. So again, it's about finding whatever looks best and feels best for you. A lot of people ask us for a copy of the PowerPoint, so we put it in here as the base model. Just remember that your trainer may add extra PowerPoint slides to the PowerPoint deck. So what they're presenting on the day may look a little bit different than the PowerPoints that you have here in Canvas. Each of our trainers like to customise their sessions by adding things that are relevant to the groups that they have and the people within those groups. So as I said, those PowerPoints may look a little bit different if you're undertaking face-to-face or online learning with our trainers. So just bear that in mind. Don't download it and think, oh, what she's doing is different than what I've got here. It naturally will be so that our trainers can customise. Okay, from there we move down to TAE, DEL, BSB, CMM 411. So this takes us now through our assessments, and you can see there are a range of projects and tasks that need to be completed. So a couple of things here. We always recommend that knowledge evidence, and in all of our courses there are knowledge evidence questions. Those knowledge evidence questions actually get completed away from the training, or if you're really productive during the training while other things are occurring. There might be some group work that you might finish 10 minutes before another group. That gives you a chance to actually dive in and do some of those knowledge questions. And those learner resources that we mentioned earlier also may help you to answer some of those questions. With regards to knowledge evidence, it's okay to research. It's okay to use Google as a nice little research part, or even ChatGPT or OpenAI as a way to answer some of these questions. But just be very careful. Sometimes the information that you might Google, and particularly on ChatGPT, may not actually be correct. It is your responsibility to check it and make sure that the information is correct before you submit it. We are having more and more people that are just copying and pasting straight from ChatGPT and finding that they're getting a resubmit and not understanding why. And it's quite obvious to see that they haven't actually read the information, that they've just copied and pasted directly into their assessment response. Okay, you'll find, let's go into one of these questions or one of these tasks, and let's show you how to get set up, hey? So project 2 task 1, let's click on that one. What you'll find when you go into or click on each of these assessments, you'll see that there's a bit of information there that's really important. So number 1, I can see that Margarita hasn't completed this yet because it still says that she needs to complete it. She's also on attempt 1. You'll note that there are 3 attempts allowed in Canvas for all assessments across all courses. Now, the reason why we give 3 attempts is to put the responsibility back onto you as the learner to make sure that you're submitting a complete and finalised assessment document before you hit that submit button. So please take the time to read your assessment carefully and make sure that all questions are complete before you click on submit. And the reason being is if you don't, you'll be chewing up one of those assessment attempts. If you go past the 3rd assessment attempt, it is a requirement at Foresight's training that you then are referred to student support, where you will meet with a Foresight's trainer assessor who will have a conversation with you and take you through and make a determination whether or not a 4th attempt is allowed or whether or not maybe you need to re-attend some training because you clearly don't quite understand the key concepts and therefore need to have some further learning. Your project task will actually give you some instructions around what is required, what to submit. There's also some marking criteria. For the Certificate for in Training and Assessing, there's also these wonderful watch this videos, which actually takes you through each assessment task and what the assessor's looking for. We will be starting to build them around our other courses as well. So that's something to look out for if you're doing any of our other courses. You'll then find that there is a template, and that template is the thing that you need to download and save into the folders so that you can fill it in and then submit it. If you scroll down a little bit further, you'll also find, and this is useful for the Certificate for in Training and Assessing, there is also a rubric attached. And we'll talk more about rubrics as we go. But given that this is about assessments, let's click on that download button and download the assessment. It will then go into your downloads folder. Okay, so here's a little bit of a handy tip for you. When you're downloading any documents from Canvas, you'll find that there's 2 ways of doing it. You can click on the little arrow at the end of the description of the task, and that will take the document directly into your downloads folder as a Word document for you to then edit. If you click on the words where it says link there, what it will do is open in another screen and you will still need to click on the downloads folder. If you start typing into the document on the next screen, it will not save. So it's critical that you actually save it as a Word document, and the best way to do that is by clicking on the little arrow. So I'm going to do that now, and you'll notice on the screen pops up my downloads. And I can see that it's popped into my downloads, which is great. That pop-up screen will disappear when I click away from the screen, as it just did. Now, for people who are unfamiliar with downloads, You may think, uh-oh, where's it gone? So there's an easy way to find it by clicking on the Windows Explorer folder. So I've got that down the bottom here. So by clicking on the Windows Explorer folder, it will open up a new window for me. And down the left-hand side of the screen, I can click on the Downloads, and I can see the document as actually been downloaded multiple times today, which is fine, that's okay. What I want to do then is click on that and make sure that it opens okay. So let's go with the first one that I downloaded. And there's the document there. I can see that it's got the same instructions as what I've seen on Canvas. I can also see that there's a template there that I'm meant to fill in and probably finish up as part of my assessment. So I know that Word document is correct. What I now want to do is go Project 2 Task 1. I might grab that, or just remember it's P2T1 or Project 2 Task 1, whatever you want to call it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that in the folders that I created in my desktop, so I know where to find it easily next time. I don't have to try and remember to find it in the downloads. And then that way you're always going to have a backed up copy in your folder. It's also good practice to make sure that you save another copy somewhere else as well. Maybe even emailing each of your finalised assessments to yourself, so you've got an email copy of it somewhere as well. So what I'm going to do now is save that into my folder and go File. I'm going to go Save As. And I'm going to go and find where it was that I created a folder earlier for. Now, if you recall correctly, I actually saved it on my desktop. So I'm going to go Browse. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I can see I've got a folder there that says Part 1, and that's what this is for. So I'm going to click on that folder that says Part 1. The name of the document already comes up for me. Perfect. And I'm just going to click on Save. And you can see that's now saving into that folder. This is what we recommend that you do prior to every session. Download those assessments and put them in a nice, easy to find folder. That way, when you come to training, all you need to do, and if I close all of these documents, get rid of them all, I'll show you what I mean. I can click on Part 1 on my desktop, and there's the document ready for me to type straight into and get stuck into my assessment during the course of the training. Again, good practice to do this to prepare for each of your sessions, and that's how you download an assessment from Canvas. So you've downloaded your assessment successfully, saved it into the folder that you created, being really organised, and now you're ready to complete that assessment and, really importantly, actually prepare for submission. So at the submission state, that's where we need to do some little checks before we actually hit on that submission button, because we do only have 3 attempts. So first of all, reread the instructions. Make sure that your assessment is meeting the instruction requirements. Those assessment instructions have been validated to meet the national competency standards. So if there are parts of your submission that don't meet the instructions, then it means there's going to be gaps in your evidence leading to a resubmission. Your assessor is, again, as I said, assessing against those national competency standards. So just do a double check through the instructions and your submission before you hit the submit button. The other thing is your assessor's also marking your assessment following the rules of evidence. The rules of evidence guide us as qualified assessors in ensuring that your assessment evidence meets those rules, meaning that it's valid, sufficient, current, and authentic. Authenticity is a really critical part. We know that you work in groups, you share information, you discuss this with your colleagues and other people during the course. but it's critical that the work is your own. Yes, you can do all of those things, discuss and share information, but make sure that your work is your own. If two people submit the same evidence, then it will be a requirement as per our policies and procedures for both parties to resubmit. And we don't want to make you do that. So just make sure that you put your own spin on the work that you've actually done together. A good way to do that is to incorporate examples from your own workplace, and that personalises your response. All right, so you've checked everything, everything's right to go. The next thing that we need to do is to click on the Assignments tab in our Canvas portal. From there, we will scroll down to the assessment that we actually want to submit, and that's Project 2 Task 1 in this instance. So I'm going to click on Project 2 Task 1. I'm going to again check through the instructions and make sure everything's right. I'm also going to make sure that the assessment submission document that I'm going to submit is actually Project 2 Task 1. And I'm going to scroll down past the rubric. And if ever you're a little bit unsure about those national competency standards, don't be afraid to click in here and have a look at the rubric. These actually state the national competency standards that your assessment is mapped to. We scroll down a little bit further, you'll see that the upload button is already highlighted, and we've got a nice rocket ship folder here, and that's what we're looking for. We can either drag and drop our document from our folder into here, or we can choose a file to upload. So if I click on choose a file to upload, that will then open up my browser. I want to go to my desktop because that's where I created those folders earlier. And I'm going to click on part 1, and Margarita is going to click on the correct submission for this task. So you can see the document that she downloaded earlier. She has renamed it hers, and it's Margarita's resubmission for Project 2 Task 1. So we're going to click on that, and if we double click on it, she'll go in and we can see the document's gone in there as an attachment. And I can see now with that little tick that it's right to go. By the way, just a little point on that one. If I just delete that for a second, I wanted to show you another thing. So if I delete it, see the Submit Assignment button actually isn't highlighted? That's because there's nothing there for me to effectively submit. Let's choose the file and select it again, and I'll show you the difference. And the tick's there, so I've waited for the tick, and now my Submit Assignment button has come up and it's highlighted. So I can actually click on that assignment. That's going to use your first submission. So just make sure you've got the right document in there first. So I'm going to click on Submit Assignment. I know it's correct. I've quadruple checked it. And we can see that the document's coming into play now. I can see there's my document that I've actually submitted for marking. Yeah, cool. That's good. And if I scroll right to the bottom, I now have a new button that pops up and says try again. Now, don't be fooled by this button here. The try again button is a good button. That means that your assessment has been successfully uploaded and is sitting there waiting for your assessor to mark. Please don't think that because it says try again, oops, I've done something wrong, I'll have to go back and submit again. The try again button is your identifier that tells you that you have submitted successfully. So congratulations. At this point in time, your assessor will have received a notification to say that that assessment is now ready for them to mark. And they will mark that on the allocated marking day that they have selected. So from here, your assessment will be marked. It will be uploaded in here for you to review at any point in time, and you will receive a notification due to your account settings, however you've set that up, to say that that assessment has been marked and what feedback you've got. And you will get also a link that will take you straight to that assessment. So congratulations, now you know how to submit an assignment. Just double check and make sure you're submitting the right assessments in the right portals. Now, we saw a moment ago that this student had a resubmission. There was some feedback in red from the assessor asking them to amend that part of the assessment to meet the criteria and to resubmit. So quite simply, to resubmit, all you need to do is to scroll down to where the assessment submission point area is, and this is where you will use the Try Again button. So I'm going to click on Try Again, and I'm going to choose my file to upload, and that's going to take me to my folder. I can see that my attachment has gone in there and there's a tick there, and it's come up now with submit assignment, so I'm going to submit that assignment. And that assessment is now sitting in there ready to be assessed, and we've amended the 30-minute session from the 15 that had led to the resubmission in the first instance. I can also go in and click on marks if I like and just check that my submission is sitting in there. I know that it is, and again I can come back to marks and scroll down, scroll through my assessment, gone too far there. Scroll into the assessment task, and I can see that submission is sitting in there, so that's right. And the Try Again button's there, which means that I have successfully resubmitted, and it also says up the top here that I'm on now attempt number 2, which we know is correct.